What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Earn It, Save It, Invest It. This is week 35 of my $100,000 challenge. I'm going to break down if I've bought anything, if I sold anything, what I think is going to happen in the market. Also, this week we have gold and silver. They crashed a little bit. Silver went down about 30%. Gold went down about 10%. So I'm going to kind of go over that really quickly, as well as earnings next week. We have some big companies announcing earnings. We're in earnings season, so I'm going to break that down really quickly. So if you can, please give a like and subscribe. Oh, did I not? Where is it? Like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. But let's break it down really quick. So I currently have $8,671 in the $100,000 challenge. My positions are TQQQ, Meta, Celsius, Hims, Amazon, Fubo, Nike, Adobe, The Trade Desk, Kasai, and Oddity. As you can see, I added something here, and it's this guy, the little one down there, and I'll kind of go over that. Hims, over this last week, you can see the performances have not been good. Now, these are my lowest weighted positions. It's organized by weight. So as you can see over here, these are my top positions, and Meta did well in the last week, so that kind of held my portfolio. If it wasn't for that, I would have gotten a lot more crushed. Celsius went down, as well as Hims. Hims went down 10% today, basically 9%. And so it was doing okay in the week, and then today just took it all down. Amazon was up about 3%, and then everything else was negative, but I am currently purchasing and building positions in these stocks, so I'm okay with their performance going down, because all that does is give me a chance to buy into them more. So that's what I'm doing right now. Oddity, I did add. I'll break that down in a second. So I am currently week 35, $8,671.80. My weekly change is about negative 2.5, basically, right? 2.45. Against the goal, I am about 15% now. I am moving further and further away from my goal, which, is not great, of course. I wish I was closer to the goal, but at the same time, I knew this was going to happen when I started the challenge. I knew starting the challenge with Hims being over 50 was going to do this. I knew it. I knew I was going to have a rough start, but I felt like Hims was a good position. I didn't want to just sell it. I believe in the company. I believe in the price I got it at. I did sell a little bit in the beginning of October because I thought it was going to have a bad month, which it did. I sold at 58 and has not even come close to that price again. Nonetheless, I knew this was going to be a hard beginning to the challenge, because I was starting it with my top positions being so, already I had gained so much in a short period of time, right? Hims went up a lot in a short period of time, so that told me I could also lose a lot in a short period of time. So I kind of have. So minus 14, almost 15% against the goal. I'm still up almost 18% since I started doing the challenge, and that's because of my $50 deposits. If we take away my $50 deposits, I'm actually minus about 6%, basically. Now, again, this is just taking away the cash. I have put in some of that money into some stocks, which are going to grow. So that's going to end up being, it's going to do. The thing is, when you are investing into your future and you're investing in the stock market and you're a long-term investor, you want to just continue to buy and buy and buy even when things are going bad, because things eventually will turn around. And so even though my $50 deposits haven't done as big of an impact, it will be a huge impact later on. I guarantee it. If I had just kept the money that I had and didn't invest anything over the last 35 weeks, right? So that's $1,750. If I didn't invest that in, I wouldn't. That's all that money I wouldn't have in a company, right? I've been building positions, and so eventually, when the market turns back around, so will my portfolio. Over this last week, I bought 1 share of Oddity Tech, 1 share of the Trade Desk, and 1 share of Adobe. and this is an IRA account, so it does $50. I do $50 every week, so that's what I got on there. AAII Sentiment, so this kind of gauges, where some investors are feeling for the market. We're still bullish. We are still really bullish. We are now heavily bullish. Let's see, the question, which factor is most influencing your 6-month outlook for stocks? The economy and or inflation and geopolitics. Valuations are not even that. Monetary policy and interest rates are not even there. We're looking at the economy and inflation, which kind of has to do with, interest rates, right? Monetary and geopolitics. So this is where gold and silver come into play. The geopolitical environment hasn't been great. So that could cause the market to go down, yet we have 44% bulls, 30% bear. So as they may be concerned, but they're not that concerned, obviously. We're also in the greed. We're in the greed with the fear and greed index, right? Which is interesting. Now we're reaching a greed and a heavily bullish, because historical average is 37.5. Right now we are at 44. So we're above our historical average in bulls, and we're getting greedy. We could end up, my phone is doing its own update. We could end up having a little bit of a crash here if we get too greedy, right? But who knows, right? I'm not here to really say, I'm just kind of bringing that information. Next week, we have a few earnings. Walt Disney is a pretty big one, more for my Fubo position. I wonder if they're going to mention Fubo because they own Hulu and stuff like that. They do a lot of deals with, a lot of dealings with Hulu, so they're going to be dealing with Fubo. So I wonder if they're going to be announcing anything. Probably the biggest ones of the week: Palantir, AMD, Amazon, Google. Those are huge, right? Those are huge. Palantir is going to be a big one. Can they sustain their growth? Can they sustain their growth? If they can, you could see this turn around back to the 170s, 180s possibly. If Palantir shows any weakness, anything, it could definitely go down. PayPal kind of shows a little bit about the economy, right? Like MasterCard does, and Visa. PepsiCo, that has to do a lot with my Celsius. I'm hoping Pepsi has a little bit to say about Celsius. AMD, which is, semiconductors, so along with Supermicro, they might have some stuff to say that could shake the market a little bit. When you have these types of companies announcing their earnings, and it could shake the market. Then we have Uber, of course, which is a big one. Alphabet and Qualcomm, those are some really big ones as well. Elf, that's big for my new position, Oddity. So I'll go over that more in another video. Oddity is a digital first branding company for cosmetics. So they own a couple companies, they own a couple brands, and I'll kind of go over that. But their numbers look fantastic, but the stock looks like crap. So I kind of like that. When a stock looks really crappy in a way of like just in performance, but the company and the business and the numbers look great, right? So I said Google, right? So Estee Lauder. Then we have Amazon, which is again pretty big. Reddit, right? Which I'm actually reading this earnings whispers on Reddit. And Roblox, Microchip. That's a big one. And I would say that's about it, right? And nothing really on Friday. That's too huge. Canopy Growth, that's for the marijuana stock. So that's next week. That's what we're doing next week in terms of the earnings, right? Now let's go and check out stock market. So this is the Qs. I watch the Qs more than anything, basically, and I had this drawn out, and it's still kind of going accordingly. It broke through right here a little bit for a few days, but now we're getting back into here. I feel like right here, like we're still talking end of February. Something can happen in February. Something in this month has got to give. We have to give. We go back down to November 2025, and the stock market hasn't moved. In 3 months, the stock from November, December, January, the stock market hasn't moved. That's 3 months. Oh, subscribe. That's 3 months the market hasn't moved, basically, right? That's not good. So it's going to go somewhere. It's got to go up. It's got to go down. It's got to do something. But the market has not been doing anything lately. So I do believe it has to make them. It's got to pick a direction. It has to pick a direction here. Silver, like I said, just dropped about 30%. It actually went down 26%. I could change that, right? Let me just, so I can factually, 26%. And it's been on a big run, right? 212% over the last 162 days, but after today, it's only up 119%. Probably up a little bit more since I had this. It was like what? Yeah, 125%, whatever. Because I was doing this chart in the middle of the day today. Gold also had a little bit of a correction here of about 10%. It's actually 9%, but you know, let's just do this really quick. 9%, right? But over the last 1,200 days, it's basically gained 200%. It used to be 240, now it's at around 200. This is a pretty significant drop, but when you look at gold over time, you know, eventually I feel eventually that it's got to come back down at some point, right? It went up 321% over 2,254 days back starting in 2005. And then you could even go 1,200% starting in 1972 all the way for about 8-10 years, right? That's when it boomed really big. Of course, then it dropped. Gold dropped from that peak, and it never reached that peak for another 28 years. 28 years. Gold did not reach this point from 1980 all the way to 2007. So, okay, it's 27 years. Jeez, I'm off by a little bit of everything, huh? 27 years. Ooh. 27 years. So, that's pretty significant, right? And then we have another 12-year period after it had its big boom, another 12-year period where it didn't really touch that mark again, or it did, but it kept kind of bouncing around that mark, right? She didn't make money for 12 years. Now we're going back up. We're doing another 200+% over 1,200 days. Where exactly are we going to land? Are we going to land in the 500%? Are we going to land in the 1,000%? Are we going to be closer to the 300%? I mean, look, if we want to go, I mean, 300% is 6,000. That's a 6,000, 6,000 price target. If we went 1,000% from where it started, I mean, we're looking at over like 15,000. The price is. So if I went 1,000, it's at 16,000. The price would be at $16,000 if it went up 1,000%. I don't know if that's gonna happen, of course, but nonetheless it can. You know, with Trump being in office, a lot of the geopolitical. I mean, you even saw on that chart, right? On that question, it said one of the biggest things was the geopolitical conflicts and issues, right? So we have that going on. We have our own civil stuff going on with ICE and just our own administration and the conflict of the one side against the other. Then we have us, you know, for Greenland and Venezuela. Like, there's just things happening, right? So, you know, it's just interesting exactly where gold will end up going and where it will end up falling, because I do think it will fall back down just like it has on all these other years, right? Went up a lot and then it came back down to reality. I think it's going up a lot. It will come back down to reality eventually. I just don't know when. That's silver, that's gold. Yeah, silver is on a crazy run, right? Crazy run. And you can even look at the crazy run, 439%, 385%. This is only 119%. And that was at the top. That was at the peak, right? We're talking, oh wait, no, 212% was the top, 119 at right now, basically, right? 125. So silver can still run. Silver can still run too. But you know what scares me is when you have these long droughts of you made no money. Now, that does bring me into a point of good investments on some stocks I think you should keep your eye out for. One is Adobe. The reason why is, again, when you look at stocks and you can go back 5-10 years, if you're looking back 5 or 10 years and you see that you made no money, but it's a good company, like here's Adobe. In the last 730 days, it's down 53%. And if you go back all the way to June 2019, if you bought on that day, on June 17th, June 18th, or the week, I guess it goes by week, in the week of June 17th, you've made no money if you held on. That's 7 years, almost 6.5 years, that you made no money on Adobe. I guarantee you Adobe is a way better company, a way more profitable company than it was 6.5 years ago. The earnings per share is better. The business model is better. Now, granted, AI is coming here to interrupt and do this. Adobe is one of the top service providers out there for editing and stuff. We use it. I use it all the time. I use Photoshop for my thumbnails. So many people use Adobe and they're sweet. They're going to be able to find what it takes to get through this AI revolution, in my opinion, right? If you're going to be editing a video through AI, you're probably going to use Adobe AI. That's just my opinion. So when I look back at the stock and I'm looking at, 6.5 years ago, I could have bought it at this price. That looks pretty attractive. It does not mean that it's going to stop here. It could go back and go all the way to 7.5 years. It could. But the chances of it continuing to go that much lower while the business is growing and doing better, I just find it to be less likely. Nike, down 64% over the last 1,500 days. 1,500 days, you could have bought this stock. If you bought this stock in October of 2015, you made no money. 10 years ago, you made no money. A full decade. Right? Now, you did, low battery. I gotta do this really quick. Imagine that you buy a stock, high quality company like Nike. 10 years later, you made no money. Now, you did make money on the dividends, of course, right? Because Nike does offer a dividend. So you were making money off the dividends, which is fine. But you've made nothing. I mean, that's a pretty insane thing to go, 10 plus years basically and make no money. That's pretty insane. So that's Nike. The trade desk, a little bit different. It's 2020, so it's been now 5, almost 6 years. And again, the company has gotten better. I didn't even write the percentage. It is down 77% in 427 days. Let me write that really quick. Let me see if I can. Oh dear. 77%. Boom. And boom. And minus 77% in 420 plus days. Right? So minus 77% in 420 days, and you could have bought this 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago at the same price. The company has done great. The numbers have continued to go up. Not once has the revenue declined. Even in 2022, the revenues never went down. The growth may have gone down a little bit, but their revenue never went down. The year over year never went down. So these are just a couple stocks that I'm looking into that I think are really good. They're attractive stocks right now. I also did buy AAII, which I can just bring that up really quick. AAII, right? Which basically it IPO'd for more than this. And so you could have just bought this, a couple years ago. It's a new stock, but it's down 55% in 210 days. So that has a lot of attractiveness to me too. And did I forget to do this? Yes. Over the last week, the stock market in general has done kind of good. Microsoft had a kind of a bad week. Palantir is going into earnings with a bad week. That's kind of interesting, right? Microsoft had a bad week. A lot of the technology services have had just bad times. But that's just how it is. The electronic technology, though, the hardware hardware people, the hardware companies, people, they've done well. AMD obviously is the outlier of negative 10% almost. But everyone else is doing pretty well. Tesla went minus 3%. But yeah, it was kind of mainly of a green week. And so Oddity is another one that I'm looking at. So again, those are just companies that I think you could look at, some stocks you should look at. That is what I've done this week, my $100,000 challenge. Please give a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Anybody who's still watching right now, it's 20 minutes in. It's a Friday night. So yeah, just, keep looking at the market. I want to know what you guys are looking at. The stock Oddity, it's like I said, it's a makeup brand basically, but they use a lot of technology, AI, this and that. Exactly how that's going to be utilized through beauty and makeup and all that is still going to have to be played out, right? It's a little different than when you're talking about computers and optimization and stuff like that. It's very easy to see the results. Like right now we have to see how good are these results going to be from matching skin tone and skin color and stuff like that, because you buy through online. Same thing with e.l.f. You can find them a lot in these stores, but they make over 50% of the revenue online as well. So this company, it's a makeup beauty brand, skin, lips, all that stuff, eyes, basically like e.l.f. Their numbers are spectacular. They're growing at a great rate, but the stock is doing crap. So and someone told me about the stock through YouTube. And I looked into it. I did a deep dive into it, and I like the company. I do believe it is undervalued right now, so I took a shot at it. So if you know anything, if you know any companies, please let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Be aware and prepared for the markets. That way you're not scared, because the market will go up, it will go down, and you always have a feeling of, did I miss it, or should I sell, or this and that. Don't worry about it. So yeah, always be prepared, and never forget to earn it, save it, invest it, buy low, sell high. I want assets, not liabilities, and you can count on compounded interest.